everybody. Insights, Know Today and Lead Tomorrow. This was the series with leaders which we started in 2023. And what an amazing experience it was. In 2024, January just passed away, but we are back. And it is with immense pleasure to kickstart 2024 of the Insight series with Sagaree Chatterjee. Hello, Sagaree.
Hi, Sudeshna. Thank you for having me in this discussion. A pleasure. And I'm really looking forward to our chat today.
Okay. Sagaree is with 20 years of experience in regional and global roles in HR. She has her experience across a variety of industries like banking, telecom, supply chain, and GBS. Her roles in HR have also been varied. She has her experience with performance management on one side, on global transitions, and talent management on the other. She has acute project management skills, has a certification in lean and green belt, possesses a green belt, and she with her psychometric tool understanding, I think gets a lot into the human minds, and that makes her an excellent HR business partner, I presume. So, welcome, Sagaree.
Thank you, Sudeshna. Thank you. I think that was a really nice, introduction that you had for me, and really looking forward to the rest of the minutes.
Sure. So my favorite question, that how you as a HR leader has seen the evolution of the function itself, be it HR or learning over the years, and especially COVID, pre and post COVID.
Sudeshna, I love that question because I think it's a personal favorite. The transformation is just not, I think, pre and post COVID. The transformation is across the decade. And how, and considering, okay, I think I'll take a step back, considering that my role is, the development part of HR. I think we have truly become enablers for business, and that is the biggest change that I see. I mean, gone are the days when somebody or a business leader came to you and said, hey, I need X training or Y training, or I just needed a development initiative, to the time of today where as enablers, people like us understand what business needs, understands what the transformation journey is about, and then provides the support, provides the experience, which in a way adds to the bottom line of business. So I think that's the biggest change, Sudeshna, that's happened across the years.
Like, we are hearing that we all need to be now future ready. So, in being future ready, what would be your advice to leaders as to the, say, three things which they ought to do to be that future ready?
Mhm. Again, another brilliant question from you. Sudeshna, do we even understand what business needs? Okay, because development is an initiative which is not just training. It is about creating a holistic professional for whatever the domain is. The domain could be banking, the domain could be supply chain, the domain could be finance, the domain could be commercial, it could be anything. But what is it that we are actually trying to achieve?
Mhm.
And then create the future readiness for that individual. Also, I'm very, very clear, Sudeshna, future readiness is just not building a domain expertise. And I go back to the word that I used. It is about creating a holistic professional.
Correct.
And that includes a plethora of skills.
Mhm.
Because, yes, the domain expertise is needed, but it's more like getting 100 out of 100 in an exam. But what really makes you stand apart? It is those other ancillary skills, whether it is leadership, whether it is other professional skills, whether it is communication. When all of that comes together, that is where we talk about future readiness. And of course, in that, it is important to understand the landscape of the business, both the current and the future. So if I just pick up, say, one of the roles, and I think that AI is important, it
Yeah.
is about what that role is going to do in future. Maybe right now it's not needed. And AI to me is an ancillary skill. It is never the domain skill for any other function. For example, I could be a banking professional, I could be a finance professional. My core will still remain finance, but AI is a skill that I need to develop, not to sit and create codes, but to understand how smartly can I add value to business. Will I be able to build an efficiency using AI? Will I be able to increase productivity using AI? Or will I be giving a better customer experience using AI? So, do I understand that landscape? And only then can I go back and say, hey, you know what? If I have to create a holistic professional, AI is also a skill that needs to come in.
Absolutely.
So I think to me, that is more important to assess and identify and then create the future readiness of people in business.
How much do you think the leaders understand what you are saying?
Hmm. Good question. I think the endeavor continues. I will not say we've reached there
Mhm.
because this has been a fairly new change that's happened in the last decade or so, not before that,
Yeah.
where enabling functions like ours, or
Mhm.
for that matter, any enabling function, Sudeshna, is finding a space to lead and add value to business shoulder to shoulder with the business leaders.
Correct.
And I think so far it's always been a business leader driven agenda
Hmm.
to now where there is an equal voice at the table and a voice at the table that adds value to business. It's just not being
True.
heard.
Hmm. Yes. Yes.
So, do they understand it? I think, of course, a lot more than what it used to be a decade or 15 years back. But
Yeah.
is there a scope or a journey to cover? I definitely think so.
Yeah. True, 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 absolutely. And I think that, really shapes how organizations will be future ready, because what the vision the leader has definitely kind of paves the way for that, right? And considering that, what do you think is will be essentials for leadership to have? What should leaders possess to be, facing the future in a proper manner?
Mhm, mhm. Three things that come to my mind. Sudeshna, even the way we manage people has changed so much in the last decade or maybe 2 decades. You
Mhm.
know, from just managing people to being able to give them the space that they are looking for, provide them the whiffim for them to be engaged and adapted to the workplace. I think the whole definition of leadership has changed quite a bit.
Yeah.
I am not saying whether a servant leadership is the right style or a facilitated leadership is the right style. It's not about discussing that, but definitely it has moved from being a prescriptive individual to somebody who understands people. And I think, you know, that is where uh, a lot of leaders today invest in understanding personalities.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
to me, it doesn't matter what tool you use, it doesn't matter what name you give to it, but you have, or we have for that matter, all changed the way that we look at leadership roles.
Mhm.
and
Yes,
and that to me is the first change of what leaders need to incorporate, you know, the way you look at the role.
absolutely.
The second and the most important part is this race is not your own. You know, earlier we would always think, oh, if the leader is good, the team is good. But I think today it's the leader is as good as the team is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can't agree more. I mean, yeah, it is never, it is no longer that the leader is the know it all in the room,
Yes,
and it is not
completely,
required also. Like,
completely.
we are seeing that shift, that that alpha, like you don't
Yes,
need the alpha, you need the authentic, meaning it's the person you are should be coming out more. And I think,
absolutely.
do you think women leaders have enhanced that? Because
Um, I don't think it's gender specific. It's quite
Mhm.
agnostic that way. But I think it is also about leaders being very comfortable in their skin and
Mhm.
not being
Yes.
threatened with
Thank
what
you.
is around. And I
Exactly.
think that is where, you know, the whole acceptance comes in. I mean, a lot of leaders today talk about complementing a skill that they don't have
Mm-hmm.
through somebody else in the team. So for example, if I lack a particular skill, which could be a domain skill, which could be a professional skill, which could be a software skill, I would like to bring somebody on board who will complement it,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I can only give that place to the person once I know that I'm very confident of it. I mean, it's not like, there is no place for everybody. The
Yes.
space is quite big.
Yes.
So I think it's not about gender, but
Mm-hmm.
it is the mindset that leaders bring to the table. And Sudeshna, I think I've had the privilege of working with leaders across organizations, across geographies.
Mm-hmm.
And this is so much of a personality trait. I mean, I have been lucky to have sponsors in my career who've opened doors for me. I have also had the learnings in my career where people thought differently and did not open the door or closed an open
Right.
door. So I
Mm-hmm.
think it is about personalities who are around in the system. And
Mm-hmm.
the third and the most important is to create a psychologically safe environment.
Yeah.
There's no two ways about that.
True. True.
And again, that's got nothing to do with gender.
Mm-hmm.
uh, that is to do mainly with the confidence that one carries. And what is it that you want your people to experience? See, we talk about customer experience a lot more openly than we talk about employee experience.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think it is time that leaders look at these aspects
Mm-hmm.
and then start creating a strategy that works for them at an individual level, personally and professionally. Because environments are different, landscapes are different, stories are different, experiences are different, personalities are different, and it'll never be a one size that fits all. But keeping all of these aspects, if somebody comes up with a strategy, I think that's the leadership strategy we should talk about.
So in this continuous evolution of technology, which is happening, which is being a constant, you need to do, you need to upskill, you need to kind of do something different every day. Do you see enough importance being given that the culture or the supporting elements to be in place before you start changing something? You know.
Sudeshna, that's a very tricky topic, but I will try to be as candid as possible. It's the lack of awareness. And I think the journey starts with creating that awareness. That is there a culture that is important? So, firstly, is culture important?
Is culture.
Then is what is the kind of culture that we need to create for the evolution to take place in a very positive way? See, no evolution is easy. It's like change management. It's
Mhm.
never easy.
Mhm.
Everybody resists it, fights it, till they realize, okay, now there is no two ways about it, and we accept it and we adapt to it. So we
Mhm.
all go through the cycle. But how much are we aware as individuals, whether we are an enabling function or a business function or anyone else, that we need to create the space? And having that space, which needs to be worked upon, is important. Sometimes we wait for the journey to take its own course and we say, okay, with time everything will be all right. But honestly, it never gets all right until facilitated. So I think it starts with, Sudeshna, for us to identify what is that environment and culture we need to create, which is going to, in a way, enhance the pace of evolution.
Mhm.
Because the earlier we get to the point, the better it is. And I am a big fan of falling on the way, learning, picking it up, and moving on, than not falling at all. Let's not get our acts so well prescribed, described, actioned that we are forever in the planning stage. Okay, you're 80% ready, just run with
Unless
it.
the rubber meets the road, you won't kind of get what.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. The real test is exactly what you said, the rubber hitting the tarmac. And only if that fails do we know what to quickly do and move on with it. But let's all be very clear that the culture needs addressing. And we do need to evolve, and it is super important for evolution to happen. whether in the HR space, the development space, any enabling function space.
So in this, like, this ever-changing world, the technology change is not only with business, but is also with enabling functions. So how do
Yes.
you envisage HR or learning functions to, to use technology to their advantage?
Mhm. Sudeshna, I am very confident about giving you a response to this because, yes, I am on the other side of 40. So I have had a journey which was not very technology driven at the start of it. But in the last precisely 5 years of my career, that's a space I have gotten into consciously.
Mm.
Because, Sudeshna, if I look back today on the kind of people that are there in the organizations, there is a huge generational diversity.
Yes.
You have people out of college, and
Mm.
then you have people who are quite experienced in their career journey.
Mhm.
The ones who are just out of college or universities or MBA institutes are the ones that are on swipe. So they are swiping for grocery, they are swiping for banking, they are
Mhm.
swiping for buying their tickets. And we are asking them that when it comes to learning, which is so important for their own development, let's move to click, or let's even move to brick. Meaning, come into the classroom, there'll be an instructor who's standing there making you listen to what the knowledge is all about, and things like that. And that is an experience that needed to change. So, technology is about using means and mechanisms of making learning come closer to the learner. And of course, there are a variety of tools in the market. There
Mhm.
are some very good learning management systems that are available. Off the shelf, of course, one has to be a little planned in terms of how do you incorporate that into the organization. Again, it goes back to culture, it goes back to change management, but there are various tools that are available, and you don't need to build anything from scratch. That's
Yeah.
the good part. The
Mhm.
difficult part is identifying what is needed and then be able to incorporate it.
Not forcing
And
it, obviously.
yes, absolutely. And that is where I say that, it is not easy. Even when I undertook the journey, I myself had to sit and learn what are the different types of tools that are available to make content interesting to a learner.
Mhm.
Whether it is gamification, whether it is gamifying a content, whether it is using animations tools, to using off the shelf products like Coursera, Skillsoft, O'Reilly. There are just so many of them, but getting them all under one roof and then creating an awareness of it, I think that's where technology comes into the learning world.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
And Sudeshna, sorry, before we move on, there's one other topic I think which we've not been able to bring out yet on the table, but I must call it out, is communicate. Communicate as much as possible. See, in enabling, a lot of people don't understand why you do what you do, whether it
yeah.
is core HR, whether it is development, whether it is a talent acquisition. They
Mhm.
say, oh, suddenly, you're doing this training need analysis. Why is it needed? Isn't it obvious what our people need? No, but communicate. Tell people why
Yeah.
you are doing what you are doing. And
Mhm.
tell that as many times as needed. There's never going to be somebody who will say, stop communicating. And if that happens, then I can tell you we are doing a massively good job. But till that time, communicate in different ways and shapes
Mhm.
to tell people why you're doing what you are doing and where you are in the journey. Because
Mm.
I think that's the other thing that, in development, we kind of sometimes lose the plot. We
Mm.
don't tell people what we are doing. So most businesses assume that, oh, L&D is not doing anything. And therefore we become the second row in that space. And
Mhm.
I feel that as enabling functions, and I think this is something I heard somebody say, of course, not in context of enabling functions, but it works very beautifully for development. And I like to share this with my team members. Um,
Mhm.
See, when you look at a cricket field, there are the main players who are, anyways, on the ground,
Mhm.
and that is business. So if I had to draw a parallel, that is where business is. But you also have these people, who go take the water bottles or they push the trolley. Get whatever role you can and stay close to business, even if that means you're handing over the water bottles. That is where you start, and then you get a chance to partner with business. But if you always think, oh, because I am development and because I am an enabling function, I need to be the farthest from business because my job is only that little part that I am expected to do, we will lose the plot.
True.
And people will never see us adding value to business.
Mhm.
Only if you know how they are playing will you be able to tell them, oh, you play it this way or that way.
Mhm.
Or if you know that, these are not the right shoes, you can recommend what the right shoes are. But don't miss that opportunity of carrying that water bottle and going into the playing field, even
You
if you
need,
don't get a chance, but just
you
find yourself a space there.
true. Being relevant to business is you start from, and then only you will be able to
Yes,
kind of
yes.
understand and add value. I was thinking of asking you that as a last question of what is your advice to your fellow HR? But apart from that, I would like to conclude by asking you to kind of share as to what would be your advice to maybe fellow HR folks or leaders for that matter, because you are so close into being a business partner with the
I think
organizations
firstly
for tomorrow.
to business leaders, I think my first request via this forum would be to all business leaders is we are partners in your journey. We are here to make your life easier.
Hmm.
Count on us. Sometimes just don't keep us at the wing, pull us into the space. I mean, we don't mind getting a few bullets. Of course we may cry and crib. I think that's there everywhere. I mean,
Mhm.
so would the business people themselves. but
Mhm.
but don't keep us aside and get us into the ring with you. We want to be there, we want to share that space and help you improve. So our intent is very clear. And to our people from the fraternity, I would say don't wait for somebody to call you.
Hmm.
Find yourself a way to get inside the ring. Know what is the business KPI. See
Mhm.
what is hurting business. Here, stay connected to the people on the ground. Listen to the people on the ground and then come up with solutions. If you don't understand business and you don't want to reach out to business, they have too many things on their priority, Sudeshna. They will not call us.
Yes.
We have to find a way to go and show how is it that we can add value. I mean, some of the very very popular HR leaders, some of the very celebrated HR partners, I have seen them doing well because they understand the business nuances. They
Mhm.
are literally the conscience keeper for business. And I think that is what we as development professionals also need to do. See, if I can add to your bottom line, why will you not want to call me, Sudeshna? Somebody will be, out of their minds not to call us. But
Mhm.
do they see that? Because traditionally, development teams are known to call out numbers for the sake of it. Oh, we have trained 100 people. So what if you've trained 100 people? Is it good, bad, ugly, what? And after training 100 people, what did you do? Are you getting people ready faster? Are you adding value by, increasing productivity? Is the quality going up for people on the floor? And that is why they are making less errors, which
Mhm.
in turn will also have a dollar value. Try to find that out. I think these would be the two things that I would always want to call out
And communicate, right?
and communicate. Yes, completely.
So, coming from a finance background, I cannot be with more agreement to you as every function adding to the bottom line is where the success of the business lies. And I feel technology and people will always be the two pillars in any business. And where people are concerned, HR cannot be a better partner than HR to kind of lead that in the entirety. And I think, as you said, leaders our kind of leaders want to make life easy. And if you are like, having the being relevant to business and supporting it that way, I think it would make a wonderful partnership that way. So,
Yes.
so great. I think it was just a great conversation. And
I enjoyed every minute of it, Sudeshna. I think very thought-provoking questions. And I'm glad that you created this forum for us to share, how is it that this partnership and collaboration with business can only be strengthened by the day.
absolutely. Thank you so much. And okay, what can I say to the audience? But the theme today, always for us, for the Inside series is Know Today to Lead Tomorrow. And today's inputs of having the right intent, communicate well, and be relevant to your business is so very important to make you do all of it together. So watch out for this space for more insights from business leaders and make and lead your tomorrow better. Thank you so much.